so on Truth Social, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
EFF leader Julius Malema has criticized US President Donald Trump for cutting future funding to South Africa in response to his interpretation of the land reform policy here. While the EFF does not agree with parts of the Expropriation Act, Malema says Trump should not be interfering in the matter.
A statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty.
U.S. President Donald Trump has stirred controversy with his announcement to cut all funding to South Africa, citing concerns over a new land expropriation law that he claims infringes on the human rights of white citizens. This declaration, made on his Truth Social platform, has sparked significant debate and backlash. Trump pledged to stop all future funding to South Africa until a thorough investigation into alleged human rights violations is conducted, asserting, "The United States won't stand for it. We will act." In response, the South African government has urged the Trump administration to gain a better understanding of the new law, which aims to address the injustices stemming from apartheid, a system of racial segregation that ended in 1994. President Cyril Ramaphosa emphasized that no land has been confiscated and that the law is designed to rectify historical wrongs. During apartheid, land was forcibly taken from the black majority, leading to significant socioeconomic disparities. The new law seeks to facilitate equitable land redistribution. Elon Musk, a prominent figure and ally of Trump, has also criticized the South African government. Musk, who was born in South Africa, has previously accused the government of being anti-white and claimed it is allowing a genocide against white farmers. However, experts argue that while violent crime, including attacks on farmers, is a serious issue, it reflects broader societal problems rather than a targeted campaign against any racial group. The Expropriation Act, which has been a topic of debate, is not intended as a tool for confiscation. The South African government asserts that it is a constitutional process aimed at ensuring public access to land while protecting property rights. The law allows for land acquisition only under specific circumstances, emphasizing that the race of the landowner is not a consideration. South Africa is a significant recipient of U.S. funding, particularly through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, which allocates approximately $400 million annually to combat HIV/AIDS in the country. Trump's funding cuts could jeopardize this vital support, which has already faced threats due to previous foreign aid freezes.
Mr. President, so on Truth Social, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
This is not the first time Trump has criticized South Africa's land policies. In 2018, he made similar claims about land seizures and violence against farmers, prompting backlash and accusations of spreading misinformation. As tensions rise over the land expropriation law and its implications for U.S.-South Africa relations, the situation remains complex. The South African government calls for a more informed understanding of its policies, while Trump's administration appears poised to take a hard stance based on claims of human rights violations. The unfolding events will likely have significant repercussions for both nations. Julius Malema, leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, has also weighed in on the matter. His comments are anticipated to further illuminate the political landscape surrounding this contentious issue. Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
EFF leader Julius Malema has criticized US President Donald Trump for cutting future funding to South Africa in response to his interpretation of the land reform policy here. While the EFF does not agree with parts of the Expropriation Act, Malema says Trump should not be interfering in the matter.
A statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty. and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy as an instrument to impose their will or bully other nations into submission.